We do know of the hate campaign against Rashmi Samant at Oxford University for what were perceived as her very Hindu views, and now we are seeing a hate campaign being unleashed all over again against Satyam Surana at the London School of Economics for being seen to be a pro-India person and an admirer of Prime Minister Modi.
Yes, I was running for the position of General Secretary in the LSE Students' Union, and the elections for the LSE Students' Union were organized on the 18th or 19th of March. So it all began when I filled my nominations and I began campaigning for the LSE Student Union elections.
What happened?
I filled my nominations and we began campaigning on the 11th of March. We had a week long for campaigning. We and my campaigning team, we reached out the entire campus, we approached students and we were getting a very good response. On the around 15th of March, we observed that some of my posters have been defaced. There were big cross marks on my face and content like anyone but Satyam was written. It was at that point that we realized that I was being targeted individually due to some unknown reasons, and I was being a subject to hate crime. It was just a day before elections, around 12 hours before the voting started, that is on 17th of March, that random messages was spread across all LSE groups which were full of hatred for me and which were full of hatred for India as well.
What is it they were targeting you for? What had you done or said?
The messages were basically baseless and illogical. The messages targeted me for my alleged association with the Bharatiya Janata Party, and the messages alleged me and the message targeted me because I had appreciated the current Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, in some of my tweets, and the sole reason for targeting me was my appreciation for the current Prime Minister.
So you were seen as a BJP supporter and a Modi supporter and targeted. How were you targeted? What were the posters saying about you?
Yeah, I was targeted because I had appreciated Mr. Modi, and I am still appreciating Mr. Modi in my tweets as well. But because of my appreciation, I was termed to be an Islamophobe, I was termed to be a transphobe, I was termed to be a queerphobe, I was called a fascist person, I was called a racist person and whatnot. So all types of slander, libel and all types of slurs were hurled upon me, and this was a well-planned systematic hate campaign against me.
Do you think this is the reason you lost the election?
I definitely think because these messages were circulated just 12 hours before voting and we had lost all the goodwill that we had earned in our campaigning week.
Are you doing anything about this now?
Yeah, I am definitely pursuing this topic with the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Ministry of External Affairs with the Government of India. The messages that were circulated to oppose me were not only targeting me individually, but the messages as a larger picture, they targeted the unity and sovereignty of the Indian Republic. The messages contained terms like Indian government is occupying Kashmir with Israeli drones. The BJP is the party which is bombing central India. BJP is a fascist party. Prime Minister Modi is a fascist person. And the messages had extremely seditious and contemptuous content against me as well as the current incumbent Indian government. So I am definitely pursuing this with the Minister of Home Affairs, and for that purpose I have written an email today to the Home Minister and to the External Affairs Minister to initiate an NIA inquiry in this matter.
Who do you think was behind this?
I would have definitely been able to figure out if there was one person behind this, but what I believe that this was a very planned and organized systematic campaign by a well-organized syndicate.
What was the syndicate?
So the syndicate was not of one person. The syndicate was persons who were opposing BJP, which is anti-BJP people. The syndicate was persons who were opposing India, which is anti-India people. The syndicate was of extremist, separatist elements. The syndicate was of people who wanted a separate Kashmir. The syndicate was of people who are opposing the right-wing ideology, because the messages began with right-wing's union out of LSE. So we definitely think that these the left-wing organizations are a part of the syndicate as well. So this is a well-organized syndicate of all sorts of people who are carrying their hatred against the Indian government and against the BJP and against Prime Minister Modi as well.
You mentioned left-wing. Do you think it included also Pakistanis and Khalistanis?
I am not sure whether who all are part of the syndicate, but the messages definitely addressed the issue of a separate Kashmir and targeted me for speaking against Khalistan as well. So we cannot negate the possibility that people from this line of thought also can be a part of the syndicate. The campaigning week, I along with my campaigning team went around the entire campus. So LSE campus is a big, LSE has more than 13,000 students. And we made it a point that we need to reach out to as many students as possible in all the different departments, like be it the smallest department or be it the biggest department of law, management or anything. and we were just going around interacting with people and explaining our policy. I had a very well written, a well drafted and a concrete manifesto in place, which was not at all political. That manifesto was solely focused on how things need improvement at LSE, how we need a centralized grievance redressal portal at LSE, how smallest things like having international sockets for the international students at LSE, having subsidized food on campus. So the manifesto was nowhere political. This entire campaign was nowhere political, nor left wing, right wing. There was no. I was merely campaigning based on the visionary manifesto that I had made, and we were just reaching out to people. We were having classroom shoutouts, lecture hall shoutouts. We were campaigning rigorously on social media, on Instagram, and people were coming out in our support. Yeah, that we will vote for you. People were committing that yes, when the voting day starts, to send us an email with the voting link when it goes live, and we will vote for you. People are putting on stories. Some of the societies at LSE, like the Family Law Society, they came out in active endorsement for me that yeah, we endorse this candidate for the position of General Secretary. So every candidate got their set of endorsement and support. But out of all these three candidates, it was particularly me who was targeted by some elements, and randomly, I don't like randomly on the LSE WhatsApp groups when these messages started coming out, I myself was shocked. My entire team was like in a dilemma that yeah, we are working together as a team. The entire moral conscience of my campaigning team was like shattered. All they want was like the people who transpired in this hate campaign. They wanted us to deviate the focus from our campaign and like get into unnecessary debates. Like waste our time into debates with them. But we still continued campaigning. We did not come out at that time because we did not want unnecessary attention and we did not want to engage into unnecessary debates. One or two general statements we made on the groups where these messages came out, and then these people started on like hampering me with questions like on the LGBTQ group of LSE, I put out that yeah, I have been a lawyer and I have been an advocate of LGBTQ rights as well, and none of my tweets that you screenshotted and put on the group, none of the tweets, they put 4 of my tweets in there. In one tweet, I have addressed the issue of Hindus and Sikhs living together in context of the Khalistan movement. So what happened was somewhere around early October, I was in the news because I picked up the national flag from the Indian High Commission amongst the Khalistani protesters. And I was blessed, I was lucky to get some media coverage around that time, and I was interviewed by national media channel. Even ANI interviewed me, ANI covered that news as well. So snippets from that news was put out that yeah, this person speaks against the protesters who are protesting against the anti-fascist government in India, and this person is the person who calls the Khalistanis as terrorists. So that is my country, right? I will always be an advocate for my country. And whatever I put on my Twitter, like how is Indian politics relevant in an student union election in the UK, right? So my views, my endorsement to the Indian government, to my government back in my country is entirely my personal matter. So these people are doxing my social media accounts and putting another photograph of me with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, was circulated because when I landed in Mumbai for a short break, I had come to spend New Year's with my family back in December. So Devendra Fadnavis ji invited me to his residence and like just to facilitate me and to appreciate me for the act that I did in London of picking up the national flag. So that was an innocent act from my side. And these photographs were circulated and I was linked to be a part of the BJP, of the fascist government. I was termed to be a Nazi nationalist person and boycott Satyam, right wing, out of campus. So this is, see, when the message heading was circulated as right wing, out of campus, that means that this campaign was dictated or planned by the left wing organizations, whosoever it may be. The only thing that hurts is like it was our fellow Indian students who forwarded these messages which questioned the sovereignty of India. These messages contained texts like India is occupying Kashmir, BJP is bombing central parts of India. So how shameless can people be to forward these messages? Indian students forwarding these messages, hampering the sovereignty and integrity of our nation on Indian groups.